Hello, podcast fam. I am thrilled to share some exciting news. My book, So Grow Lead, is officially live on Amazon. This book is more than just my story of starting a nonprofit and building a peanut butter factory in Malawi. So trust me, the ups and downs of that journey are worth the read. It's also packed with practical strategies to help nonprofit leaders like you tackle challenges with clarity, courage, and a whole lot of heart. If you've ever wondered how to turn your vision into reality, navigate the inevitable hurdles, and build something meaningful, whether in your organization or in your own life, this book is for you. I'd be so grateful for your support in spreading the word. Grab your copy of So Grow Lead in the show notes and on Amazon today. Let's keep sowing seeds of impact together. Welcome to the Lead with Heart podcast, which is dedicated to nonprofit leaders who are passionate about making a difference. I'm your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on a journey of growth, inspiration, and transformation. At Lead with Heart, we believe that leading with heart means embracing empathy, compassion, and authenticity in every aspect of our work. It's about putting people first, fostering genuine connections, and creating a positive impact that goes beyond numbers and metrics. In the nonprofit world, it can often feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. The challenges are immense, and the road can be lonely. But here, you're not alone. This podcast is a community where we support each other, share our stories, and learn together. Each episode will dive into personal and professional development topics tailored specifically for nonprofit leaders. From innovative fundraising strategies and effective team management to self-care practices and leadership insights, we're here to provide you with practical strategies that you can apply to your life and work. My goal is to empower you, elevate your leadership, and engage your heart in all that you do. I want to help you navigate the unique challenges of the nonprofit sector with confidence and resilience, so you can continue to create meaningful change in the world. So whether you're driving to a meeting, taking a break, or winding down for the day, tune in and join us on this journey. Together we'll discover what it truly means to lead with heart. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Lead with Heart podcast. This is your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm so excited to welcome Catherine to the podcast today. She is a powerhouse at the intersection of culinary arts, media, and mentorship. Known to many Chicagoans as a vibrant host of the Emmy Award-winning Check Please, Catherine is the executive director of the Foundation for Culinary Arts. With a resume that spans courtrooms to cutting boards, Catherine has transformed her career from practicing law to becoming a nationally recognized culinary curator, media spokesperson, and advocate for aspiring chefs. Through her foundation, she's championing mentorship and access, helping young people find a pathway into the culinary world. Whether she's appearing on the Today Show, writing for Time Out, or helping launch the next James Beard Award winner, Catherine is always cooking up impact. Well, Catherine, welcome to the show.
Hi, Haley. Thanks for having me today.
So from courtroom to kitchen, your career path is anything but typical. What inspired your transition from law to the culinary world?
I always loved food. And what I found was, as a young litigator, I spent all of my time when I was not working, cooking for friends, going out to restaurants, reading cookbooks, trying new recipes. I just found that was really my passion. And I had a interesting encounter where a producer from the Oprah Winfrey Show actually called my office and said someone had submitted me as a real life Martha Stewart. And that was kind of the ding ding moment of, hey, if they think maybe I can go into the culinary field, maybe this is something I should do. And I literally looked into culinary schools, enrolled in culinary school, got my degree while I was working or doing classes nights and weekends. And here I am, like 25 years later.
Wow, that's amazing. And was culinary art something you discovered later on in life, or is it something that's been a part of your life since childhood?
No, definitely since childhood. I was very close to my paternal grandmother, and she's Italian, and I used to joke that she was like, I don't care if you can read or write, but you're going to learn to cook. So I grew up cooking with her. I always loved it. Also, just coming from a big Italian American family, so many of our holidays, quite frankly, everything kind of revolved around food. Something to celebrate, we all ate together. Something bad happens, we all come together and nourish each other with food or bring food to one another. So it just was always part of my life that just brought kind of comfort and happiness. So it made sense to move into it.
Is there a favorite recipe that you would make with your grandma that you have carried on the tradition today?
Sunday sauce. I guess every family has their own version of a Sunday sauce. Ours is with pork neck bones, and it's a gravy, as we say here in America. So a thick meat sauce with bucatini and whipped ricotta. And so I still make that for big family gatherings, or just when I want to have friends over and give them a little bit of comfort. Especially, I'm based in Chicago, so we have some very cold Midwest winters, and I find nothing quite warms you like a big bowl of delicious pasta.
Yes, I can definitely relate. And that is what I'm making for dinner tonight. It's on the menu for Thursday night. So you left your law career, went to culinary school, went all in with the culinary arts. What led you to starting the foundation?
So the foundation came many years later. After I finished culinary school, I was actually recruited to start doing television work for a large consumer packaged goods company. So a large food company, Sara Lee, which some people know the brand. The company no longer exists. But I developed recipes and started traveling all over for them. And that led into this media career where then I started writing. I became a food editor. I did food styling. I did a little bit of everything and really went forward in food media, food television. So when I started working on Check Please, the television show I hosted, which was a restaurant review show based in Chicago, I left my other television work. And so I was looking for another way to be in the industry and give back a bit. So I love the television work I do and did then. I felt with this kind of amplified platform that I could do more good. And so instead of doing a one-off thing for a non-for-profit or foundation or organization that would approach me to help with a fundraiser or something of that nature, I was just by chance, I was being recruited to be on a board for the foundation I now run. And during that recruitment process, they lost their executive director, and they asked if I might know someone just because I have a large network and that might fit the bill. And I said, well, send me the criteria for it. And I looked at it and I thought, I can do this job. And the way my schedule was for filming the show was I was very busy in the summer, but it wasn't as busy during the year because we'd already done most of our filming. So taking on the executive director role where we were in line with the school year just dovetailed perfectly, where I was busier during the school year with the foundation, and then I would have my summers a little lighter. So that was back in 2014. And so this is my 10th year at the organization. It's hard to believe. And since then, we've just really changed it. So when I first came on board as executive director, we were really just a scholarshiping organization. So students that wanted to go to culinary school, we just basically helped them pay their way through culinary school. And as I was working in the organization for a few years, I just realized we could be making more of an impact and we could be helping more students and getting students on a career trajectory and a vocational path that they might not have, one, had access to or even thought of as something to do. And as someone who has been in the industry in various capacities, it's a really great industry. It's a huge community and it's supportive of one another. And it really can be like an additional family. So that's when the Yes Chef Culinary Camp program came around, which is now our marquee program.
When you were talking about your career and you started out in the culinary arts, do you have a favorite like food styling project or project that you've worked on?
Food styling, I did a lot of TV food styling for various networks, but those were, I'm going to be honest, the TV ones weren't as because they're kind of rushed. You don't always have a kitchen you're working in, so they're a little chaotic. I remember one of my first, and I think this is kind of why I like it. It was one of my first food styling gigs, and my food styling instructor from culinary school hired me on as her assistant. And that was what really got me started. So I think I really love that. And we were doing a Pampered Chef catalog. So I don't know if you remember Pampered Chef. It was all the like kitchen gadgets and whatnot. But that was very fun to work on. And I think partially because it was my first and also meant a lot to me that my instructor saw something in me and gave me a chance. And I think that is also what I like about what we do at the organization is you see kids that have a passion and have drive or talent or ambition, and we're able to give them a chance and get them started, because you can go to school, you can do all of these things, but it's that person that really gives you your start and that first chance that is going to make all the difference in your career. So
yeah, I've been talking about that with several family members who are looking for jobs and friends as well. And it's really about the network and the people you know. Obviously, you have to have a good resume and experience, but it is really about building out that network. And sometimes you just need that one person, like you said, that teacher who asked you to be the assistant, and then look where you are today. So when it comes to the different career trajectories, what are the opportunities in the culinary world for people?
gosh, there's so many. It's funny. We just had this conversation. We're starting to build out. We have the camps, which are vocational training, and we're starting to build out this mentorship portion of it. And one of the modules that I want to build out answers exactly this question, because you can go into research and development. You can go into food styling. You can be a food publicist. You can be a food writer. You can be the obvious things, a chef. You can be a caterer. There's just so many fields. Food styling. There is just a plethora of jobs that you can do that put you in the food industry and don't necessarily mean you have to be in a kitchen cooking, because quite frankly, that is a very difficult job. It's not an easy job. You have to have ambition, dedication. And so it's just not for everyone. But you can love food and still be around it and still work in the community and be a part of it. And even think like a job like I have. I work in a non-for-profit that works with students that want to get a culinary education and then go into the field. And so even within our organization, there's programming. So you're actually helping to create programming. We work with culinary schools, and our team works with their team to create curriculums. And so that's very fun to put together and to imagine, how are we going to create a curriculum that teaches all of the students the skills they need to get into a kitchen and start working right away. So there's really so many options. Food photography is another thing. So there's all of these jobs in the field, and they're not just, oh, you have to be a restaurant chef. There's just really a lot of ways to be involved, and where you still need the food knowledge. It's really important that you understand food. And that's why even I always tell our students, even if you don't want to be a restaurant chef, it's okay. One, learning how to cook something is just something everybody should know. It's never not going to be a good thing to know how to nourish yourself, cook for your friends, your family, and take care of yourself. But then in addition to that, it's just another area of knowledge that will help open doors into these other fields if you're interested in food and culinary, where you don't have to be a chef. Even working, it's interesting, even working, you don't think about it, but being the sales rep for the dishware and plating and all of these different utensils that are used within the culinary field and in high-end restaurants, there is someone that does that, and they come in and they do tastings with chefs to show them how their food could be presented in these incredible vessels. And so there's just things you don't even really know about until you get into the field and you think, wow, there's a lot happening behind the scenes you might not realize.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing because that is a whole new world for me. And I follow a lot of recipe bloggers on Instagram, and they tend to influence my food choices, whether that's good or bad, but all the recipes are delicious. And so obviously there is a lot of opportunity, like you said, in so many different career trajectories. And you mentioned that this is your 10th year. Congratulations of running the foundation. What are the top three biggest lessons learned over the last 10 years?
Oh gosh, I think one, expect the unexpected. We have gone through a lot of change over the years, and obviously the one that everyone in the world relates to is having gone through a global pandemic where we needed to shut down our in-person camps, but obviously doing that at a time when the students really needed us most. So figuring out how to pivot to digital. And so I think that was a huge lesson is just, you just have to expect the unexpected and try and be nimble and be resilient. So that's one of them. I think another is that you really need to make sure you are always working with the community you're serving. I see it happen so often where organizations will come up with this grand idea and it doesn't totally fit into how the system works. So I'm always working with our stakeholders, of which there are many. There's our campers, there's our donors, there's our chef community. And so always trying to hear what they have to say in terms of what they need. And then on our end, trying to take all of this information and make sure that whatever programming we're creating is something that everybody benefits from and that we're creating an ecosystem where we're all benefiting, that nobody is just sacrificing something for the other. So I think that's another huge thing is just listening to all of these people that have knowledge that you can't know everything. And so really just being open to that. And then I'd say probably like our last lesson would be that you need to grow. Sometimes it's really easy to get kind of stuck in a rut. And I don't want to say a rut in a bad way, because sometimes just doing the same thing is good in the sense that you know how to do it well, you can deliver, and that's all great. But I think it's really always reviewing and revisiting what you're doing to see how you can tweak that and how you can grow. And when I say grow, it doesn't have to be massive expansion. Sometimes it's very small tweaks. And an example of that would be each year we go back and we revisit each of our curriculums. And then we're like, are these still the skills that chefs need in their kitchen right now? Is this still what the current feeling is on XYZ ingredients? Is there something new we need to be looking at? When I was growing up, allergies weren't a huge thing. Needing food substitutions wasn't a huge thing. And so now it's very different. So just making sure you're always staying on top of things. And like I say, and just making small improvements and growing sustainably. Like that's the key with the growing is that's why I say you do it small, incrementally, but always be trying to make yourself better. And that's growth. And that will sustain you for the long term.
Imagine a fundraising partner that not only helps you raise more money, but also supports you in retaining your donors. A partner that helps you raise funds both online and on location, so you can grow your impact faster. That's DonorBox, a comprehensive suite of tools, services, and resources that give fundraisers just like you a custom solution to tackle your unique challenges, helping you achieve the growth and sustainability your organization needs, helping you help others. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. Yeah, definitely. And I want to double tap on both of those ideas of listening to your community. That's definitely a common theme on this podcast that we talk about, and also that incremental growth. And I think that does come from continually reevaluating your programs and understanding what the community needs are at the moment, and then evolving your programs to meet the moment and grow strategically. And so can you tell us a little bit more about what young chefs are facing and the barriers that you help them overcome?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, especially with the community we have, so we help students that come from under-resourced communities in Chicago that have financial challenges. So to go on to a culinary school like I did, those costs are expensive, and it's understandable because running a culinary school, just the actual kitchens and the equipment that's needed is very expensive. And so a lot of our students, they just can't afford that. But at the same time, the culinary field, the thing that I really love about it is you can start bussing tables and you can end up owning an incredibly successful business. So whether that's a restaurant, whether it's a catering company, whether you end up just understanding how things work and you consult or become a hospitality staffing company, there's ways to do that without you having to necessarily invest in a college education. And obviously, education is great, but that's not always in the cards for everyone, either financially, because they are part of their family's economic ecosystem and they need to get right out into the workforce after high school, or they're not book learners. People don't all learn by books. So you have to also give opportunities to students that learn by doing, not just by reading about something in a book. Academics is a very different thing. So I think that those opportunities, really, their vocational training, which is what we do, fell out of favor. And unfortunately, school costs rose to go to college. So going on to higher education, those costs just rose exponentially. Vocational training opportunities plummeted. And so this group in the middle that we work with really lost out because there's this inability to get the proper training unless you have all of this money or you have the stomach or ability to take on, quite frankly, a lot of debt that can saddle you down later in life. So we are trying to fix this we offer free training for students that meet the financial criteria. And then we put them through our camps. They can start anywhere from their sophomore year on, and they can go through our camp programs. Our camps, we have 5 camps a year. The camp subject matter stays the same, but the actual curriculum changes. So even if a student started with a sophomore year, if they go through the camp program the junior year, they're going to learn different things. So we just make sure that that our campers are always growing. So we have some students that started with us their sophomore year. They're now finishing their sophomore year actually at a culinary school. So one of our star pupils, he's finishing his sophomore year at Johnson & Wales now. He went on a full ride scholarship, which was amazing. And he's just continuing to honestly make us so proud and really blaze the way for our campers. He helps mentor our current campers, helps them with applying for scholarships, answers their questions. He's really sensational. And he's not the only one, but just as an example. So I think that is really the biggest thing now, is making sure our students have opportunities that aren't really available without there being a large financial input.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I think the landscape is evolving where vocational school and trade schools are becoming more popular rather than traditional universities, which are still popular, obviously. But I think there is more knowledge around those other opportunities for learning and getting into the workforce. And you mentioned earlier, you really listen to your community, and what is the feedback from the youth involved? And can you get a little bit more granular into how you use that feedback to inform your decision making?
Yeah, of course. So with our students, we've had very positive feedback. It's interesting what sometimes the feedback in the beginning, we were just kind of like, do they like what they're learning? Do they feel that they learn the skills that we set out to teach them? And so just that very straightforward metric. And what we ended up finding, though, was what the kids gave us in feedback was that their confidence was building. So it was this kind of unintended, amazing consequence of they just felt more confident, not just in the kitchen, but as they moved into their other classes and as they thought about where their life path was going or what they want to do next, they felt empowered by the fact that they were learning in our camps. I think it's the beauty of something when you work with your hands is they come into a camp and there's just ingredients. And then all of a sudden you come out with an end product that's a totally different thing than what you started with. So we have a pasta camp coming up. And so you look at this and you have flour and some water, and then all of a sudden you leave and you have noodles. And there's something about that that is very exciting to say, I did this, I made this. And our campers, we really see that like the positive reinforcement and that kind of working to build that confidence has been incorporated into our camps. So we do things like we provide performance prizes, and our campers get those for there's each recipe that's done that day. There is a performance prize that is awarded. And so those prizes can be anything, their cooking equipment, cookbooks, things like that. And it's not just for who did the best job. Sometimes it's most improved, who showed leadership or teamwork or great organization skills. So it's just, again, reinforcing for them that hard work will pay off. And it's not about always putting the perfect product out. It's about that continuing to work hard to get better, because that's really what we want to teach them. And some of our campers have come to me and said, oh, I feel like I'm behind. Like some of the other students have already taken a cooking class or were in another camp and they know more, or took a class through the Chicago public school system and they felt behind. And so it's kind of meeting that student there and saying, letting them know that it's not about where everybody else is, it's about where they are and where they end up. And so we really try to build our programming in a way that is challenging for the students that might be a little more advanced or have some experience already, but also still encouraging, and so that our students who are starting just from the beginning, from scratch, so to speak, can grow and not feel like they're falling behind.
Yeah, and I can imagine that confidence and those life skills translate into other areas of life outside of the kitchen.
Absolutely. We always say when you're in a kitchen, you have to have teamwork, organization, even like we're very strict, like our campers have to show up on time. They have to be in their uniforms. Their workstations need to be clean, organized. Those are all things we evaluate and our chef instructors evaluate. And so if you don't go into the culinary field, knowing to be on time, knowing how to work with others, knowing just clear communication. You're in a kitchen, there's fire, there's sharp objects. Being able just to communicate with your team or people that are in your vicinity is just a skill again. And so that skill translates to communicating in a boardroom. So they really learn basic life skills that are so vital for success in any field you go into and in life.
Yeah, I love that. And you've been named one of Chicago's most influential culinary figures and have worked with powerhouse brands. What advice do you give to emerging culinary professionals trying to build a personal brand and stay authentic in the process?
Oh, great question. So it's so interesting because the field has changed so much. When I came up, it was really heritage media. I'm aging myself, but Instagram did not even exist. So one of the things I always say to any young professional or aspiring professional chef is to really start to create their brand on social media, and that they should develop their point of view early, see what they like, what they don't like. And I think that's really important now to think about what your personal brand is. That wasn't something when I was coming up. I worked with brands. They had their personal brand and I worked for them. And so I adapted to their personal brand, which is great. And so, but if you have your own point of view, you can steer your career a lot more these days because there's opportunities and now brands look for your point of view because they want to align with that. And so I think I 100% would urge every young chef to learn the skills first, because it's not enough just to take nice pictures and aspire to be an influencer if you don't have the chops to back it up. But I think you can do those in tandem. And so the sooner you start building your own brand and your own point of view, the better off you're going to be.
And I think that's breaking the mold as well, right? Because you can literally go online and say that you're anything, right? Like I could say I'm a chef, right? But I can cook, but I don't have the culinary background. And so I think maintaining that level of authenticity and credibility is definitely the most important thing to build trust behind your personal brand.
Absolutely. I think the other thing, and this is something that I always did myself, and I still urge young professionals or young chefs, is take every opportunity, because sometimes opportunities, they don't come perfectly packaged. Like everyone wants to, everyone would love the perfect job just to land in front of them. But sometimes you have to look at things that don't seem like they're the perfect opportunity and turn them into the perfect opportunity. Even my first writing jobs were not about food. Even though I knew I wanted to write about food, they weren't about food. My first writing job, I wrote about celebrities. And then what I did is I pitched my editor, wouldn't it be great if we wrote about the food that these celebrities like to make at home, or where these celebrities like to go eat? And then I ended up writing about the restaurants that celebrities like. And then I got to work with the chef to get one of the recipes for the guacamole that Jennifer Aniston loves, for instance. And so I turned it into an opportunity for me. I got in the door and then started working towards turning it into an opportunity to direct myself where I wanted my career to go. And so that's what I think is just very important for students or young adults to think about, is figure out where it is you want to go. And then every time an opportunity or potential opportunity presents itself, think, is this something that will lead? Will I gain a skill from this that'll be important for where it is I want to be later in life? And take the opportunity, learn what you can, and then you take the next opportunity and learn what you can. There's very little in life that you can't learn a lesson from.
I agree. And I love that advice. And I think also back to your earlier point, like if someone offers to mentor you or you find someone that you aspire to be, build a relationship with that person, right? Find
100.
leaders in this space and build relationships. If the opportunity arises and they offer to mentor you, people don't offer that lightly. So take it as an opportunity to learn from your peers, from people who have been in the industry, people who are where you want to be, and get to know how those people have become successful.
Absolutely. And the other key component of that is, and be respectful of the time people give, because everybody is so busy. And I think that people just think, oh, it's no big deal. They're just telling me what they do or this or that. But I have to say, be respectful of the time people give you. Be grateful for the time people are giving you. And most importantly, put into action something that they've taught you. There's nothing more frustrating when I take time to sit down and talk to someone and they basically just want me to figure out their life for them. They don't really have a specific question. There's not really something. They just are like, well, I want to do this. How do I do it? And you're like, well, you do have to do some of the work for yourself. And so I think it's important for, when you meet with someone to also meet with them and be prepared. Know what questions you want to ask, and you'll just get a lot more out of it. And that person will remember you. I have to say, there are students that opportunities come up, like just because people reach out to me because they know I have a large network, and they'll say, hey, Kat, do you know someone that would be good for this? Or, hey, we're looking for someone to reach the 18 to 25-year-old audience that's into food. Do you know someone that would be like a good fit or social media for that or something like that. And I think back of, let me think who of my past campers, current students, colleagues that I would know, and I pass them off. And it's always the ones that obviously made that impression of, I know I can recommend them and they're going to make me proud. Like they're going to take advantage of that opportunity. And that's how you really, I think, can maximize the benefit of a mentor.
I love that advice. If people want to follow the work that you do, where can they find you?
Yeah. So our organization, Foundation for Culinary Arts.org, or F4 is in the number, CA.org, our websites. On socials, Yes Chef Camp is a great one to follow. You can see all the camps we do, all of the kids. And then my personal socials are Cat De Orio and Casa De Orio.
Amazing. Well, we'll make sure to link to that all in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I have learned a lot about the culinary field, and I'm just so grateful for you.
Amy, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you and for allowing me to talk about one of my favorite things in the world. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
If you have valued these stories or learned something from what you've heard, please share this podcast episode or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support, and together we can build a better community and world.